Am I the butthole for calling the cops after my half-brother took my car while I was having dinner with family? I 23F have always been civil with my 19M half-brother. We were close as kids, but he started to have an attitude at 13 and pretty much stopped being nice and started messing with my things / making fun of me and doing pranks to annoy me / privacy was gone with him coming into my room and taking my things. Whenever I complained, my stepmom would normalize his behavior and make excuses. My dad never really grounded him and thought that talking to him will get him to behave better. I'm currently in college. I live in a rented apartment and have car to help me get to the university or other places. The car isn't expensive or fancy at all. I saved up for it 2 years ago. I decided to have Christmas dinner with my family. It's the perfect opportunity to be with family since I haven't seen my dad in a while. I arrived at my dad's house and left my purse and my keys on the kitchen island after my stepmom told me to help with dinner. My half-brother started talking about my car in the kitchen while my stepmom was listening and asked if he could take it for a couple of hours to hang out with friends. I politely told him no. He threw a fit and brought up how I needed to relax and not worry, but my answer was still the same. While we were sitting at the dinner table, my half-brother got up, washed his hands, and I thought he went outside. I got busy talking to my dad, and after I got up to wash my hands, I noticed my car keys weren't there. I went outside to ask him, and neither he nor my car were there. I lost it. I started calling his phone, but he hung up on me several times. I was furious. I told my dad I'd call the police if he didn't come back with the car. My stepmom jumped to defend him and said I was being unreasonable to call the police. I called him one last time, then I called the police. My stepmom freaked out when my half-brother got picked up by the police. She told me to go explain the situation to the authorities, otherwise he'd spend the night in jail. But I refused, especially since I still hadn't got my car back. Stepmom yelled that I ruined dinner and that it was no big deal. He was going to return it after borrowing it from me, but he didn't really borrow it, and she heard me say no. I don't know what she told the police, but I didn't give permission to use the car. My stepmom's side of family are mad at me for doing this to my brother and hinted that I don't consider him family. My dad's side of family sided with me, saying he deserved it. My dad said I overreacted and I shouldn't have called the police when he disappeared for 4 hours. Edit. He did not borrow it, but my stepmom said I let him borrow it, which is not true. Edit. Just to clarify, I talked to the police about what happened, and I learned later that my stepmom said that her son was allowed to borrow it and that it was a misunderstanding. I wasn't going to let her continue to lie, but my dad told me to back off and let it go. This really upset me. My half-brother wasn't even berated the way I was by the family. NTA. He borrowed your car. You borrowed his free time for the night. Fair trade. Exactly. I'm pretty much certain that he did not borrow it. For her to lie and say I let him borrow it and only called the cops because he wasn't picking up the phone is unacceptable. She badmouthed me to her entire family, and they all berated me based on the story she told. See, I'm the type of person who, if I ever posted a question here, knows I would be the butthole. And I'm okay with that. So take anything I say with a grain of salt. I would be vindictive and post a meme somewhere that the family will see it that basically follow the theme of what the rest of the world calls stealing, my family calls borrowing. Make it pretty clear what actually happened. Oh, The Office. One corporate wants you to find the difference between these pictures. Stealing, borrowing without permission, they're the same picture. Meme game on point right here. Here you go, took 2 minutes, web link. I would do the exact same thing. I'd probably make a post that just says, to be clear, I called the cops on stepbrother not because he wasn't answering his phone, but because he committed grand theft auto in response to being told no. Edited to add that I really want to know what Op's mom was like, because her dad obviously just lets the word happen to him. Or go real dark and post no means no, unless you're my stepbrother apparently. This is golden. I like your dark pettiness. Factual but with far worse implications. I love it. Or find his mugshot and make that her profile picture. Make it the background for the meme. Definitely. Share it to everyone's wall who talked crap. Then aggressively follow up on the charges to make sure he has to go to trial. Get a lawyer. Testify against him and do everything in your power to discredit anyone who testifies on his behalf. Become the eye you wish to see in the world, Gandhi. You are better than me because I was sitting here thinking original post should go borrow stepmom's stuff. Like all of it. Oh, hey, I just borrowed your retirement savings for a trip to Aruba. Same. I would be the one to go and post my side of the story anywhere the family can see it. I kind of get why people don't do that and instead choose to let their name be dragged through the mud by family and friends. I couldn't do that. Stand up for yourself because no one else will. They clearly have zero concern for your feelings, so who cares about theirs? Also, NTA. I agree and would do the same. When everything goes to crap, the only one you can count on is you. My husband is the type to tell me to let it go and not cause drama. He hates drama. I hate being taken advantage of or lied about. This is also me laughing out loud. Your dad is a classic case of favoring my step-kid over my bio kid to please my new wife. Both of your stepmom and half-brother knew you said no, but he took it away. Don't listen to your stepmom's family. They have no right saying you are in the wrong because they are not in your situation. Did your stepmom told the cops something else, or did your brother ended up getting punished? To cut both your dad and stepmom along with your half-brother. Except it's both his full kids here. Yes, but I assure you, as the red-headed stepchild, my mom absolutely favored my half and step-siblings to appease my stepdad, and was crafty to me. It happens and it effing sucks. My ex favors his full daughter and stepdaughter to my son, who he adopted when he was 1. As soon as the new wife moved in, he kicked my newly 18-year-old out and went way low contact. So gross. My partner and I just had our first baby and he has a son from a previous relationship. I've been telling him the whole pregnancy that he absolutely needs to make one-on-one time with my stepson without anyone else involved, so he feels just as loved. I'm also planning to make sure I spend one-on-one time with him myself, so he knows I love him and don't plan to treat him and his sister differently. He's not from my womb, but when I got in a relationship with his dad, he became my baby. And my partner, bless him, would never tolerate anyone treating the kids differently. I'm so sorry your mom failed you. You deserved better. Probably meant favoring my new kid over my old kid to please my new wife. Half-brother would mean he was her dad's bio kid, step indicates he is not. Favoring my half-kid over my full kid. I don't think the boy is only half his son XD. But definitely NTA. I mean, technically they are both half his kid, not the butthole op. I would have done the same. His entitled ass deserves the jail time, and do not drop the case. I hope you sent him a text during the time he was gone specifying that you did not give him permission to touch your car. Half kid over full kid? How does that work exactly? Half kid only has half his DNA, full kid has all of it. Op is clone. I don't think Op's half-brother is her dad's half-kid, they are both his kids, just each have different mothers. Op not the butthole. If I were her, I would cut stepmom and half-brother out of my life, as I'm sure each interaction in the future would be long tirades of what a jerk she was to call the police. Everyone seems to be missing the fact that presumably he wasn't insured to drive the car. Even if your insurance covered additional drivers, they have to have permission to drive the car. Let's call a spade a spade. He stole the car from you, and as with all stolen cars, he wasn't insured, and had he had an accident involving someone else, you and the person in the accident would have been left paying. Your stepmother cannot make this okay. NTA. I was looking for this. This whole post reeks of if the stepbrother did something to damage people or property, he ditched the car and say someone stole it. If he and the car returned fine, then it would be see nothing happened, you were worried for nothing. And if something did happen, the insurance company would most likely require a police report anyway, so original post was just being efficient. Wait, did she tell the police you said he could borrow it? Because if she did, you need to go correct that. Your brother is being an entitled little crap, and if the car title and insurance are both in your name and he got into any sort of accident, I highly doubt your stepmom, brother, and given his very passive responses, your dad would pay for any deductibles or the difference in your monthly premium between pre- and post-accident. Not to mention if it was impounded after they hauled your brother off, impound fees. Trust me, as a person who is terrible at driving and hit 2 unoccupied cars, the increase in insurance premium is no joke. NTA, sounds like until at least your dad can learn to respect you and make it clear to your stepmom that you are his child too, they might need to be put on a timeout. I don't know why more people aren't pointing out that it wasn't just the brother who had committed a crime. The stepmom did too by lying to the cops to try and bail the brother out. They both need to be held accountable. Here to say exactly this. With her throwing original post under massive bus with cops and family, I'd have pushed the matter. NTA, op. This reeks of a mother who spends so much time telling everyone how perfect and exceptional her son is that she entirely misses him descending into terrible and criminal behavior because he was never made to face the consequences of his own actions and feels invincible. One of my cousins was treated like that, as he could do no wrong and the laws should be rewritten to make him a special exception. He had to fall pretty far into situations his mother couldn't get him out of before he realized that not facing consequences up until he was in his 20s was ultimately a bad thing. He got it together and functions well now, and I'm proud of him, but it was not easy to get there. The police became involved. Oh, it's way worse than that. Original Post could catch charges for making a false report and wind up in serious legal trouble herself. You're not pretty much certain. You are certain. Don't let your stepmom gaslight you. The way you remember events is the way that it happened. And when you are making statements to police, use definitive statements. X. He asked to borrow the car. I said no. He took it anyway. That's stealing. Instead of he asked if he could borrow it. I'm pretty much certain that I said no. I think he stole my car. Any doubt you reveal in your statements is in favor of your brother. NTA, you should make clear to your family that the reason you had to go to the police is that your father and SM did not prevent your half-brother from taking the car, nor get him to return it. This could have stayed in the family, without legal consequences. However, the fact that the boy's parents refused to punish him and have even lied to the police, aka committed another crime, on his behalf, means that you have to rely on the police to protect your property. Which shouldn't happen in a family. I've always been intrigued by the vicious child law in New York. Namely, that if a parent disciplines a misbehaving child, the law can touch neither of them. However, if a parent encourages a vicious child, the parent is legally liable for all the child's actions. I think that certainly applies here, even if your half-brother is an adult. Another case proving the adage that boys today are not being raised, merely fed and coddled. ETA, thanks for the award. Means a lot. I agree that you should make it clear to everyone it could have stayed within the family if your dad and stepmom had enforced your decision. Would post this and that he was uninsured to drive your car along with the legal consequences you could face if he had got himself into a wreck on social media. Your stepmom's behavior is a roadmap for him to be a felon. Oh wait, Grand Theft Auto, he already passed that toll. It doesn't matter what your stepmom says. She is not the owner of the vehicle. You told him no. He took it for a joyride. That's illegal. I don't know what country you're in, but here in the US that unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. I don't know if you press charges, and I'd be okay with that too. It seems the family is more worried about the repercussions than the actions that caused it. But that's how repercussions work, lol. I'd ignore them. Up to you to press charges. And just know that you're not one to be screwed with. He's their problem, not yours. You really should call the police back and have them make a note in the report that your stepmother is lying. Do it and then tell her after, and say that if she's caught lying for him and making excuses for his abhorrent behavior, then you'll take the next step with this case, and it's not going to look pretty for either of them. She really sounds like she needs to be put in her place. I agree, she needs to be put in her place, and her and the dad need to stop kissing the half-brother's ass. F all of them, I recommend going NC. They clearly don't respect you or your belongings at all. I'd look up if what she did can be considered a crime in itself, since she basically accused you of making a fake police call. If yes, F them both. Her for whatever it's going to be, guessing on either false accusation or slander if it fits, him for theft. Geez. Not the butthole at all. How can anyone consider it an overreaction? He literally stole your car, after you told him you didn't want him to use it. Why didn't your parent offer to let him use their car? This should be a moment to show him about responsibility and accountability, not to blame you for standing your ground. Your dad is really letting you down. Simply ask how he'd feel in a similar situation. My stepmom thought I ruined the night and overreacted because he just borrowed the car from me, even though I told him no right in front of her. My dad is indeed letting me down by how he reacted in this situation. All I wanted was to have a peaceful dinner with family, but my half-brother was being stubborn. Sounds like a painful situation. But for what it's worth, you're definitely not the A in this situation. Why didn't your stepmother let him borrow her car? He could have had a friend pick him up for a few hours. Kid had options that didn't require stealing your car. NTA, he will have to learn the hard way since your parents didn't teach him. Right? He sure didn't borrow his mom or stepdad's car. He chose original post because he thought he could get away with it. He stole ops because he knew he would get away with it. If I was original post, no way would I have let her be the one to talk to the police in his defense. I would have said, you want me to talk to the police about his behavior? Okay then. And explained the real situation. She knew stepmother would have asked anything to get him out of this. She should have realized she would lie for him to be honest based on the everything else about this post. Not saying original post deserves this. Just saying she should have been the one who continued communicating with the police instead of letting her mom. The outcome was obvious as soon as I saw that part of the post. $10 says that he asked to borrow your stepmom's car and she volunteered yours before you even arrived. NTA, obviously. Truly. I would place my bets on this being the scenario as well. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.